Back again with another edition of the Athletes Hub. I'm joined by my friend Adon here today, and I'm a big Arsenal fan. But Arsenal is not a topic today. I know we've had a pretty, I say it's been a very eventful week in the world of, well, not week, I think the last couple of weeks have been very eventful in the world of football, with the Super League, with the sort of the rise and the fall of the Super League, and we've had a few cup semi-finals and a final recently as well. And also, I think that one of the big news that kind of went under the radar was probably Jose Mourinho second at Tottenham. That came as a bit of a surprise to me, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know. When you heard the news, were you surprised? Were you shocked? What was your reaction?
I was shocked. I was shocked that they sacked him during the news of the Super League, all that Super League stuff. Because let's say if there was no Super League, that would be number one story. But when I heard it, I was surprised by how it was the week before the final, and that makes no sense. Like, why would he sack? Like, yes, his style might not have worked, and they might not have won, but they had a better chance of somehow winning than Ryan Mason. No disrespect, who's only managed like 2 games before last week.
Yeah, that's right. You're right. I think I echo you. You know what? When I heard the news, I thought at least we'll get till the end of the season, to be honest. I know that things were going in the wrong direction, and I think after the Europa League exit, the way they lost that game 3-0 away from home, you could tell it wasn't going to work at Tottenham. But I agree with you. I was kind of surprised by the timing of it because, Tottenham are trying to win their first trophy in over a decade, and if one manager can beat Pep Guardiola in a final, it's Jose, regardless of whether the form's been good or not. I think if you've got that one-off game where Jose's got a history of upsetting the odds at Inter Milan against Barcelona and also at Real Madrid, Jose can do it. So
there was one stat or something, like there was a stat about every single final Guardiola's beaten him, he's won. And the one game he lost was when Jose at Real.
Yeah, I think that was the Copa del Rey, wasn't it? Copa del Rey. Yeah, exactly. And I was like, he's got a great chance to win. You've got a great chance to win a trophy with one of the best managers in the business, no matter what his form's been like as of late. So to sack him on that,
unless he's lost the dressing, he probably lost the dressing room had like gone though, because obviously at the end of the day, player power wins.
It does. You're right, but I think in terms of, again, like if you look at Jose's tenure at Tottenham, there was 2 players who consistently played well under Jose, and those were Kane and Son. Regardless of whether he lost a dressing room or not, those 2 players are going to win you any football match. So why take a chance and sack him when you've got a great chance with Kane and Son in your team to win a trophy? I mean, you can sack him at the end of the season or wait till after the final. If it doesn't work out, then okay, fair enough. But to sack him during that week was bizarre, to be honest. And I think you saw the game against Man City and the way that they performed. I mean, I don't know.
The first half, they didn't even. I don't think they even got into City's half, let alone box.
Probably was. I think they got 1 or 2 corners actually, which is. Yeah, you're right. They were poor. They were poor in the first half. But again, that's what.
The thing is, I remember when I was watching the game. Like, as much as they were defending for their lives, they were trying to play out from the back, which is something that you would never see with Mourinho. Like, you don't really see him trying to play out from the back and build out from the back. That's one thing I tried to applaud, not applaud, but I tried to see, but I don't think it was getting far because he basically had a limited number of sessions and you're not going to change your style in 5 days. Yeah. But with regards to that, I was reading somewhere that bar this time at United and bar time at Tottenham had some similarities into how it ended. And like how there was one interesting fact that Jose doesn't believe in like the sports scientists and like data. They just believe on like intuition,
right?
On like how much they believe. Because I remember I was reading something about when Solskjaer came in, he saw that the players like energy levels, their what's the word? Progression.
The fitness levels.
Fitness levels, that's the one. Yeah. Their fitness levels were all-time low, and like they were staggered how tired they were come like certain matches, and that was because of their previous regime under Mourinho just disregarding the sports science side of the aspects of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at Solskjaer in terms of what he's done at United. I believe one player who I guess maybe suffered or benefited from that change was Lukaku, because when Solskjaer came in, Lukaku, I think it was public knowledge that Lukaku wasn't fit enough under Solskjaer. So I think, he played a lot of games under Mourinho as well, but I think it comes on in the style of play. You look at United, traditionally, they've always been a high energy, high press, high intensity game, whereas with Jose, a lot of the games are very strategic in terms of when to break.
Defensive
routines. When
routines.
to sit down, so when to sit back, when to sort of attack. He's very strategic in what he does.
Like, when I saw Mourinho, not even when it was back in October, was it November 2019? Can't remember if it was
I think October.
Yeah. When they hired him, I thought straight away, this is not going to end well. This was never going to end well because
why did you think that? Did you not think he could come in and win a trophy with Tottenham, or?
Not that. I just didn't believe him and Levy would get along, because Levy is someone who isn't like hell-bent in giving like own play the managers money. He, like, when under Pochettino, even when they had their best ever season or second, and before they even reached the Champions League final, Pochettino kept saying, I need players. And then they went a whole like year without signing anyone. And it's just like, they have the squad there. They need to refresh. It's clear and obvious there is something going on at top, something good going on at top. I don't want to say it, but there's something. They have good players. They were going to go somewhere and they needed better players. You can see it, and Levy just didn't want to spend. So why would he risk all of that to get Mourinho, who he still thinks is a good manager and needs money?
You know what? I think obviously we'll talk about Jose in a second, but in terms of the strategy, in terms of how it ended and this Tottenham's strategy in terms of football club, it didn't add up, because you had a manager in Pochettino who's a very good coach who, brought in a lot of young players for the academy. I think at one point he had the same team for about 3-4 seasons with the likes of Ali, Ericsson.
And that's why he wanted to refresh. He kept asking, I want to refresh the team, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, you're looking at Pochettino. He consistently got results for Tottenham. He consistently got them into the Champions League.
Champions League final, for goodness sake.
Yeah, and they're playing good football. You can tell they're a very happy team in terms of the quality they're playing. It's a different style.
High press, high intensity.
That's it. At the top end of the pitch, Ericsson, Son, Ali, a very exciting team going forward. And you've said, okay, cool. We've come to a point where we can't get any further in terms of the Champions League final. We didn't win that. We can't go any further now. So we're going to go for a proven winner, someone who wants to win, and somebody who can win. His CV says he can win. And then you get to the point where you sack him because you feel as if the results are not good enough. Well, so Tottenham as a club now, you've sacked the manager who can win trophies. He's proven to every club he's been at, he's won trophies, right? And you said the reason why you got him initially is because you wanted to win trophies and actually take a step further. So you've now sacked the manager. Okay, fair enough. So where'd you go from here as a club? I mean, you've sacked somebody because you felt as if you couldn't go any further. Okay, fair enough. You've gone for one of the best.
Getting a massive payoff.
Yeah, I mean, you've sacked another manager who's been proven as a winner. Okay, because the results weren't good enough, etc. Okay, fair enough. So where'd you go from here? I mean, I don't. Tottenham as a club, I don't see what they're trying to do. I just don't see what they're trying to do, to be honest.
Like, I honestly don't know why I don't know. Like, just it didn't feel right. I think Levy saw Amazon Prime. Yeah. Saw headline showbiz manager, one for the entertainment. Forget how they do this season. Yeah,
but I think as a football club, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't make sense. I don't see how they're going to benefit from this chop and change thing, really. But okay, with Jose anyway. Yeah. Where next with Jose? I mean, I don't know. With Jose Mourinho, he divides opinion and he's very controversial. One of the best managers I've ever seen in my life as a fan, to be honest. But he always sort of he's got a package with him, which is not news. He's got a massive package with him. Where next? Where do you see him going from sort of Tottenham? Do you see him going back to another top club, or do you feel maybe international football now might be the best option for him?
I can't see him managing the Premier League. I think his time in the Premier League's done. I think his time in the Premier's done. I think Spain is done. He won't manage in Spain. France, no chance. Germany, no way. Italy, maybe.
Yeah.
And if not, then it's probably somewhere like Russia or somewhere he can manage.
It'd be kind of weird. You know what, Jose? I think I can see him going to Italy because I feel as if the Italian style is very tactical, right? And I think his best managerial period, or one of the best managerial periods, was at Inter Milan when he won a treble that season. And I think 2009, 2010, that's probably one of the best teams I've seen, not just domestically in their league, but also in Europe. I mean, let me ask you: do you still rate Jose as a manager? Do you still think he's
No,
a top class? You don't rate him as a manager.
no,
Why
no,
why is
not
that?
anymore. Football's changed. Football, the way like the football styles change, where even like player, like how manager and player relationships has changed. Like he sometimes doesn't give that like energy to the players when you see like a Klopp or Guardiola with regards to how they deal with their players. Even Ole to an extent, like how he wants to help them out. Whereas it's Jose, it's more criticize, criticize, criticize live in the media. And it's like it demoralizes you. Players don't want to feel like they feel like shit. Sorry for swearing. But
Yeah, that's fine. No worries.
yeah. They don't want to feel like that. They want to feel like they're up for it. They feel like they've got their managers back, and like him like just constantly saying stuff like with regards to Ndombele, with regards to Oria, with regards to Shaw in the past, with regards to Pogba in the past. It's like it's not helping.
Yeah, I think Jose is he's a very confrontational manager. I think he's
even
not
at Real
shy.
Madrid, like
Yeah,
Cecilius Ramos.
Yeah. He felt a lot. I mean, Jose's had a knack of falling out with players, but
and that's not something you can't do in this era. The moment you like turn on players, it's the moment you have an issue with players will always win, and unfortunately style doesn't work. And like even a defensive style, as much as it might work for a couple of games, it's not sustainable. It's not sustainable for a whole season. Like when they were top in December, everyone's going, oh, they're going to win the league title challenge, here we come or something. And I remember there was a video of the I think after I don't know if you remember, but it's there was every time Tottenham now lose, that a video gets brought up of
the Chiellini.
Huh?
Is it Chiellini?
No, not the Chiellini, not the East of the Tottenham, not that one. It was another one. Not that one. It was I think we'd lost to them in the North London derby, and like it was I'll go chat to Brighton and Fulham and them, man, and then and it's like, oh, we should be the title challenge by like February, and come February they had lost to Brighton and they had drawn to Fulham. And it's that video gets brought up. It's just like it always ends badly.
Yeah, I think you know what with Jose, I do think he's still a top class manager, and the reason I say that is because I agree with you in terms of football has moved on and football's changed in many aspects, not just on the pitch but also off it as well. And obviously, you mentioned coaching style and player management and that type of thing. But like I said before, Jose at every club, even in the modern era. I mean, I remember him leaving Real Madrid and going back to Chelsea in 2013. And then the season after that, he built a good team that won the Premier League in 2015. So he's won trophy. And again, at United, I think he's the first manager in history to win a trophy in his first season at United. So everywhere he's been, apart from Tottenham, he's won trophies there. And I agree with that.
Money.
No, it's money, but at the same time, you look at the squad that they had at the time at United. It wasn't the best squad compared to some squads I've seen growing up. But football's changed, and he maybe hasn't moved on in certain aspects of how he deals with certain things. But again, apart from Tottenham Hotspur, everywhere he's been, he's won a trophy. And again, that includes the modern era. And I do feel like maybe his personality and the way he deals with players in the media, that overshadows his ability as a coach. Because I do feel, listen, tactically, I think he's one of the best I've seen tactically ever. And that includes the likes of Pep Guardiola, Arsene Wenger, obviously Alex Ferguson, and the likes of maybe Ancelotti as well, to a certain extent. But I still think he's a top-class manager. I think if you get him the right team, and obviously you mentioned the funds are important for any top club to win major honours. But if you get him the right players and you've got players who can actually play the way he wants to play, then Jose's teams are one of the best, not just as a team, but just to sort of get results. I mean, look at the Chelsea team, like I mentioned. If you look at the spine of the Chelsea team compared to the spine of the Tottenham team, it's
which Chelsea team? Which one?
The 2015 one, the one that won the league.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the one. Oh, the restart.
No. So you're looking at Courtois, Cahill, Terry, Matic, Fabregas, and Costa, right? That's a really good spine of a football team. And on the side, you've got the likes of Oscar, Willian, and Hazard. And then you look at the current Spurs team, you've got Kane and Son. Maybe Ndombele because he's done well this season. But you look at the centre backs, you look at the goalkeeper.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
That's not good.
The centre back is, the defending is just non-existent.
That's not a good span. But Jose needs a team that can do what he wants them to do. And the reason why his teams at Real Madrid and Inter Milan and Chelsea, again, were so successful is because everything started from a good goalkeeper and a good span in terms of defenders, through the midfield, up until the strikers who could score goals and decide games. Jose's style is not about Pep's in terms of relentless pressure, relentless attacking. Jose is very tactical, is very strategic in the way he sets his team out. He wins the game. He says,
suck them in.
That's it. Suck them in, and hit them on a counter attack, and just close it. And basically, he said, we're going to win the game 2-0.
Possible. Be as compact
Very
as
much,
possible.
yeah, being compact as possible. But he kills games off. That's what that doesn't kill games off in terms of winning 5-6-0. It's basically like, okay, we're going to go in front. We're going to be 2-0 up, and we're going to see the game out. We're going to make it difficult for them to get back into the game. That's his style of being efficient. And I think the reason why he came out after games like against Newcastle away from home and against West Ham this season, because they couldn't do that. His teams in the past wouldn't have let those leads slip. Do you know what I mean? So I still think he knows what he's doing, but he hasn't got the same personnel he had 10, 15 years ago to see the same type of results. Do you know what I mean?
Ask a funny, weird question. When they beat you 6-1,
yeah,
did you think, okay, Tottenham were onto something? Do you think Mourinho?
Because I thought so. Because again, like you mentioned, they're top of the league in November. They beat Man City, I believe, that early in the season as well. They beat you guys as well. So Tottenham were getting results against the big teams, and that's what he'd always done previously. And I thought, okay, the likes of Ndombele are playing much better. Kane's obviously Holberg's do really well. Son, Kane, again, great partnership. So again, that's almost a decent spine, almost you've got there. So there were signs to say, okay, look, they could actually be the real deal. Maybe not win the league, but they could win a trophy and they could maybe finish higher up in the table.
Title contenders.
Yeah, they could be title contenders. So I thought, yeah, he's going to do something there, but I don't know how that all unraveled to where we are today, where he's been sacked and the dressing room's essential. Well, apparently, the dressing room's been lost and people are not happy with him. It's a bit weird, really, to be honest. But I mean, I don't know if you compared elements of Jose's career back when he first started to where he is now, what elements do you think that he had before that he's missing currently, would you say? Apart from, as you mentioned, you said football's moved on, but what elements would you say that he had before that he's kind of lost in his game right now?
Just the unpredictability. His unpredictability factor. Like, he knew what he was going to get with his old school Chelsea team when they had Lampard, Drogba, Essien, Terry, Cech at the spine.
Also, sorry to interrupt you. Don't forget, those teams, like I said before, every team he went into in that time, he had to build that team again. So I believe that Porto obviously won a Champions League, won the UEFA Cup of Porto. Chelsea were never really title contenders until he came into the club. He had money, but they never really
the season
contenders.
before. The season before they
under Ranieri,
yeah, they had that one season.
League. Yeah, but they weren't really. They were knocking at the door, but they weren't really winners at that point. So he changed them again. Went to Inter Milan, had the likes of Ibrahimovic, sold him, brought Eto'o in. They won the Champions League that season. The season after with Schneider, etc. He went to Real Madrid. They hadn't won the league for a long time. He went there when Pep was there, by the way. 100 points. The likes of Ozil, Khedira, Alonso, Pepe, Ramos, Benzema, Ronaldo. Great side. He had to build that though. Brought in Modric the season after, went to semi-final of the Champions League, and he left afterwards. Again, went to Chelsea, went in the best position, brought in the likes of Costa, brought in Fabregas, brought in Courtois as a goalkeeper, and they got better. So he's had to build teams as well. Don't forget that. People say, yeah, money, that's true, but with the money you've got to be able to build a decent side.
Part of me also thinks, though, teams have gotten better now. Teams have gotten much, much better than, let's say, 10 years ago. There was only 10, 20, 15. It wasn't most like teams who were like finishing on the bottom half had no chance, but it was like harder. Now it's like they don't fear them. The fear factor is gone. That's something that you can say in football now. It's so unpredictable that like you don't know who's beating who. You don't know like what scoreline's going to be. It's not like Burnley going to lose like 4-0 to Man City. No, you don't know. Anything could happen hypothetically, and that's one thing I fear that like he's lost his fear. He lost his fear factor. Like when they come with a Mourinho before, like a Mourinho-esque team would be like, oh crap, how do we do about this? How do we beat him? He's probably got everything covered. Now it's like, okay, we know what they're gonna do. Just try and exploit it as much as they can.
I agree with you. I think you're right. I think in terms of, do you know what the reason why I feel like player management, like you mentioned before, is a key aspect because before his teams wanted to fight for the guy. They wanted to be part of his team. I remember when he left Inter Milan, there was a scene of him when he was crying. I don't know if you saw that. He was crying, hugging the players.
Yes.
That was a proper bond with his players. That's like a family bond he's got there.
You don't see that much now.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see that now. That's the thing. It's like players want to die for him. They want him to be part of the team. But I do agree. I do feel the caliber of player has changed over time. But I still feel as if player management-wise, I do feel Jose continues to make the same mistakes he always makes. And that is, you can't call out players in the media, this generation anyway.
No chance.
And then like expect them to respond well to you. I think the criticism of Shaw, for me personally, was out of order. Like, you can't say to a player, he was his body.
He was body in my mind. Oh, come on, that's going to demoralize. No matter all walks of life, whether it's football, whether it's in any employment, any form of employment,
you can't say that to him. That's gonna, the confidence is shot at that point. Yeah. And you come now.
And he was coming back from an ACL injury. Was it ACL?
Yeah, the guy on Shaw was coming from a tough place at that point. And as a manager,
for that to be said,
if you said to him, okay, you said to him behind closed doors, okay, that's between you guys, but to come out in the media and make that public knowledge, that is going to kill the guy. But fair play to Luke Shaw, man. Since then, he's come back and he's been a really top-class player this season. But again, look at likes of Ndombele, for example. We criticised him, he did, but he's been a much better player this season. Much better player this season. So sometimes some players can take it the right way, others can take it the wrong way. But I do feel like Jose he's got to stop coming out in the media and criticising players, because you're not going to get a response from that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's like in this day and age, it might work then, but now it's just, it's not going to work, and everyone probably will know about it. Before, it's like harder to get the message out, but now it's like, everyone's got social media, everyone knows what's being said, and it's like all over. Even like his comments after that they lost against United. Yeah, it was like, oh yeah, Ole's a bad father or something. So
Jose does that. I mean, Jose knows that he didn't mean it in that way. Ole didn't mean in Son's comments in that way.
Yeah,
but he wants to kind of just make it something. He's a master at doing that. Jose, he knows what he's saying.
But does it work now? It doesn't.
Do you know why? Because he's not winning matches. And before, when Jose came into the Premier League and everyone loved him, he was not a nice guy back then, but people loved him. Why? Because he could get results.
He was different. It was different. It was a different aspect.
He was charming back then. He could get results. He could deliver. Now, when your team's 7th in the league, you're out of all the competitions, and your team's not playing good football, and you come out and criticise someone, that's not going to go. That's not going to come across well. You're basically opening the door for criticism at that point. You know, when he was at Chelsea in 2015, when he had Costa and Fabregas, and they were not a nice team to watch. They weren't a nice team to play against, but he was getting results, so he could justify that.
Isn't it like not surprising? Isn't there like similarities to how he left Chelsea the second time, how his time ended at his Chelsea the second time at Chelsea, and his time ended at United, and his time ended at Tottenham, all have some form of similarities. It's all a lot of players having issues with him. It's just it can't be just a one-off. It's happened on more than one occasion.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think apart from the first time he left Chelsea in 2007, every time he's left the club, every time he's left the club, he's been either being sacked or it's ended the wrong way. And you're right, there is a theme there, to be honest with you. And I just feel like, he's Jose, like I said before, the guy's CV, he should get a lot of respect for what he's achieved in football. But I feel like the way sometimes he goes, because he's a passionate guy, he's a competitor, he's a fighter. The way he goes about certain things, because he's so frustrated that he can't contain his mouth, that tarnishes what he's done in the past. And for me personally, I didn't always like Jose as a manager. I thought he was not a nice person. When I was at Chelsea, I hated him, to be honest. I respected him. I respected him because he could get results and he could deliver. He was cocky, but he could deliver. He could win trophies. And that's what, if you're not a Chelsea, at the time, if you're not a Chelsea fan, you'd hate him. If you were a Chelsea fan, you loved him. That is what the effect he had. Do you know what I mean?
Like, now, when he went first, one of the first things I remember he said to Tottenham was like, "Oh yeah, you said a quote back in like when he was at Chelsea that you would never ever manage Tottenham or something. Like, what's changed?" And it's like, "Oh yeah, football's changed or something." And it's like he would like go and wear like Tottenham pajamas or like wear Tottenham tracksuits in Chelsea. It's just like, oh.
That's just the guy. He's a unique character, Jose. But I do feel like sometimes the way he goes about and his managerial, some aspects of his management do kind of.
I mean, he's trying to be he's now on Instagram trying to like reform himself, but
I like that. Jose, he's got a personality. He might not be a good one for some people, but the guy's got a personality and he can entertain not just on the pitch, but also off it as well. He's got that character about him where he can do those type of
Mhm.
things. But yeah, I mean, it's just again. So you don't think he's going to be managing in the Premier League? Then I mean,
Yeah, I can't see any manager taking the risk. Like he's managed Chelsea twice, United, Spurs. He's got three other out of the traditional six clubs of Chelsea, of City, Liverpool, and Arsenal. Are they realistically going to hire him? Would they ever realistically? Would they realistically?
They won't. I think too much has happened at his times at Chelsea, Tottenham, and United. So I don't think any club's going to be willing to get into that type of relationship. To be honest with you,
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes yeah, go on.
Would they be prepared to have to pay a high compensation fee if the inevitable happens after the season 3, or in Tottenham's case, it happened in season 1.5, 2.5, or whatever.
I think 1.5. You're right, 1.5. Yeah.
Yeah, because it usually happens in the third season, like
yeah,
Mourinho implosion.
To think of it though, he's not had any full season at Tottenham because when he came in October.
Halfway through.
Yeah, so or quarter way through the season, and then the pandemic happened, and then he's been sacked now. So he's not had a full season at Tottenham over 2 years, which is weird. It shows you how bad it's been, to be honest.
What do you do with regards to his time at Tottenham? What do you regard of the whole Amazon Prime All or Nothing?
All or Nothing. I think it's very good. I enjoyed it, to be honest. I think I enjoyed the Man City one a bit more though,
because they won.
Just because it was fascinating to kind of get insight to how, because that team that season they'd done the Man City one. It was a great season for them, terrific season. So it was interesting to see how they kind of went about doing that. The Jose one was a lot more dramatic because they weren't always good in terms of the results and stuff.
I'm surprised they didn't do much from Pochettino, to be fair, because like they only done like 1 or 2 bits and then straight to Mourinho, just like. I think that's how they marketed. I
think Pochettino, because I think he left. I don't think they had like the rights to kind of air him without his permission. I think so. They couldn't really show the ins and outs of like the club behind the scenes and stuff unless he was still an employee there. But yeah, I think it was good. I think at some point they kind of overshadowed their season because that's what everyone spoke about. Every press conference shows you about some of the clips in the documentary and stuff like that. So it kind of took away a bit of the attention away from the football and focused more on the documentary. But I think it was a good watch. It was interesting to see.
There was one interesting thing of like he wants his players to become nasty, can't be like nice guys.
Yeah.
And then like he masterminded a full on like, I can't remember, was it Lucas and Aurier, like Aurier goes in for like a
tackle
with a bit,
training,
and then like Mourinho, and then they go like full on like arguing, and that you just see Mourinho just loving it in his mind because it's what he wants.
It's like Son and Loris when they came in at half time and they had that little argument.
And he was happy. He didn't say like, "Oh, stop it." It was just like, "I liked it." Along the lines of, "I like this." I'm like, okay,
because they care, because they want to win, because they care. Again, that's what I'm saying to you before. Jose's team, it's like a good point about being not nice guys. His teams at Chelsea, they weren't nice. They weren't a nice team. Costa everyone hated Costa.
Oh, everyone hated Costa.
Terry, again, these teams, they weren't nice teams, but they were men that could get the job done, and that's what his teams are lacking now. Do you know what I'm trying to say? That team of Chelsea, they were men. John Terry going for a tackle.
Do you think it's a Mourinho thing at Tottenham, or is it a Spurs thing?
Both. I think what he wanted from his team couldn't deliver that, so he got frustrated. And his personality, naturally, his frustration came out. Tottenham historically have not been a good team they've not been a team to get over the line.
Like however many semi-finals have they got to, and everyone's called their so-called year golden generation, and what do they show for it?
That's it, nothing. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's a bit of both, to be honest with you.
There was another thing with regards to that. With regards to him and the thing, because I remember there was another comment. I think this is like, was it against Newcastle? Yeah, it was against Newcastle. It was what's the problem, Jose? And he said like, same manager, different players.
Yeah. I mean,
which is
classic. Do you know why I said that? Because to an extent, he's right. Again, if you've got a CV that
he's right, but like you shouldn't like, once again, it's the player management. Like you shouldn't be saying.
That's the point. He shouldn't be saying those things. But Jose's out. He's got in his mind. He's got a point where if I've got a CV right that says that I've done this method for many years and I've got results and I've won trophies for that, that means that I'm not the problem here. In his mind, I agree with you. That's not the right thing to say in terms of a press conference, because the team sees that
post-match, whatever.
It doesn't come across well. But if he's got a CV that says, "Listen, I've done this method for so many years now with other top clubs and I've won trophies," that means that I can't be the problem here.
So did he think then, like, before when he took the Tottenham job, because the Tottenham team haven't, bar Lloris, haven't won any meaningful trophy? When I say Lloris, World Cup is like the pinnacle. Most of them haven't won much.
Yeah.
Does he think that because of that they will all listen to him and like all would follow him because he knows how to get everything done? Whereas a team like United, because they've won stuff in the past, they might just.
But you got to remember as well, when he went into Tottenham and United, he went into United team. A lot of those players, apart from the likes of Valencia, Smalling, Carrick, they'd won the Premier League and stuff, right?
Rooney.
Rooney, they'd won the Premier League at the time, right? Whereas you go to Tottenham team, he's come to a team saying, look, but at the same time, you have players like Rashford, Martial, Pogba. I know he won a Serie A. Lukaku, players haven't really won anything, so he could come and say, listen, guys, I've won something in my career. If you follow me, you can win trophies. Again, with Tottenham, he's going to a team where, as you said, apart from Lloris, nobody's really won anything. So if you were talking to that dressing room as Jose, right? I'm guessing you feel like you've got the right to say, listen, if you listen to me, you can win trophies because I've done it. You guys haven't done it. That's fair, isn't it?
Yeah, to an extent.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not saying that the way he said it is the right way to say it, but listen, if you've got a CV he's got, like I said before, and he's the manager he is and the experience he's got, some of these players weren't even born when he started managing. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So again, he in his mind, and I think I agree, he's earned the right to do that because I remember his press conference at United saying that he won the most titles in the Premier League and everybody else had won.
Well, he said that after Wenger and Conte left. So when he calculated, he did it. He wanted to say it before, but he just had to wait to Wenger.
He said currently in the Premier League he's won the most trophies, which is true.
But I think that was the beginning of the end at United.
Yeah, that season
when he lost.
Sacked. Yeah.
That's from when he said that. That's when I knew it was like gonna go all the way from there.
Yeah. But look, man, he's like I said before, he divides opinion. He's a very controversial character. But let's end with this. What do you think his legacy will be in football?
A good start, but a poor finish.
Yeah,
there's going to be a lot of recency bias. The recency bias will play a lot into it, and they've seen that he's been sacked at 3 clubs. The younger generation will just ignore the fact that of what he'd done previously. You can't just ignore that he's won trophies when he was at Chelsea, Inter, and Real Madrid. They'll just only care about when he got sacked at the 3 English clubs and whatnot. Yeah. That's more so like the younger generation, but to most of us, he's still won stuff. It's not like he's a bum at the end of the day.
Yeah. I agree. I think his legacy will be, again, for me personally, one of the best managers I've seen growing up. I remember when he knocked that United in the Champions League.
Porto when he runs full on knee slides.
I remember that because I was watching that with my dad, and my dad was so happy actually because he doesn't like United.
What team does your dad support?
My dad's very secretive. He could tell he loves Arsenal. You can just tell.
Oh, what a great guy!
And like he loves Barcelona as well. Like Barcelona at the time when he had the Pedro Messi, he loved watching them at the time. But I remember, growing up, I mean, watching that game on ITV Sport, I believe. I remember that game fondly, man. I remember this guy sort of. I forgot who scored, but I remember it was Tim Howard in goal at the time. I remember that, and I saw Jose running down the line, and I thought, this guy is something different. I've not seen that before. But for me, I agree. I think his legacy will be a great manager at one point, but unfortunately, I believe that sometimes his current achievements and his personality and the way he's dealt with things might overshadow what he's done previously. I don't think he deserves that, but unfortunately, as you said, in football nowadays, people have short memories.
Right, go on like Twitter. Oh my days, go on Twitter. You just see the amount of nonsense.
Twitter changes every day, man. We do another podcast on social media on football, but like Twitter is a different story. But listen, with Jose, I hope it wins another big trophy. I think he still can, depending on where he goes and what happens next. But with Jose, again, great manager for me personally, and hopefully we can see him manage in the Champions League final or win another European Cup, which I think he can do. But yeah.